Okay, so a few weeks ago, I did a video on makeup and beauty products I refuse to buy in 2025. If you want to check out that video, I'll link it in the description box below. I kind of talked about some broad categories as well as very specific products I'm not planning on picking up over the next year, just in an attempt to keep my collection a little bit more curated, create a little bit less waste, spend less money on makeup, and focus on what I have. So as a follow-up to that video, I thought I would share some new makeup releases I refuse to buy. These are products that have recently been announced or sneak peeked, or they're actually available. And don't get me wrong, some of these were an easy pass for me, but some of them were a little bit more difficult. I'm still kind of thinking about a few of them, but as I sat there and looked at pictures and swatches and just thought a little bit more critically about the launches, I decided I don't need them, even if I do really want them. So I thought I would walk you through that thought process, kind of share why I'm not picking them up, and maybe some alternatives that I'll be using instead, things I already own. So if you are looking to shop your stash or kind of replicate something similar with products you already own, maybe this can give you a little inspiration as I share products that I thought of. So let's get started. Okay, let's start with this first one. This is the one that almost got me. Patrick Ta just launched 4 new blush duos, and they are beautiful. I absolutely love the Patrick Ta blush duos. They're a little bit more expensive at $38. That's like the most I've ever spent on a blush, but you do get a cream and a powder, and both formulas are stunning. They layer together perfectly, and they're also great on their own or alongside of other products. I actually haven't purchased a new one in a little while. I think it was actually around this time last year when he launched some new duos, and I picked up not too much. That's what I have on today, and I absolutely love it. I think that's my favorite out of all of them. So anyway, when I saw these, there were 2 in particular that caught my eye. So there is a warm vivid red, which is gorgeous, but honestly, that's kind of an easy pass for me just because I don't wear red blush. I know it's super trendy right now, and it looks amazing on other people. And I don't know, I like sometimes I'm kind of tempted to try it, but I just don't go super bold with my blush. She Knows Who She is described as a terracotta. Again, so stunning. That's going to look amazing on a ton of different people, just much darker than I would personally go with my blush for my skin tone. So the 2 that caught my eye are She Goes to the Gym, which is a cool mauve rose, and then She's Seductive, which is a warm mauve rose. That is the one I'm probably most interested in. It is absolutely gorgeous, and every single time he launches a new duo that's somewhat similar to something I already own, I almost like it a little bit better. But do I actually need it? Online, it does look a little bit different than the ones I have, but I decided to look up swatches. I know not everyone is a big fan of TikTok or Instagram Reels or short form content in general, but one thing I find really helpful on like short form platforms compared to YouTube are just quick swatches and comparisons of products. I actually just Googled Patrick Ta She's Seductive versus Not Too Much, and there were a bunch of videos of creators comparing the 2 shades, like on camera, on their cheeks, blended out, swatched heavily, and the conclusion that I came to is they do look different in the pan, and they look quite a bit different when you swatch them on the skin. But once you actually apply the blush and blend it out, it doesn't look that much different. There are slight differences in the undertones, and I think She's Seductive is probably just a little bit, it's a little bit deeper, more vibrant than Not Too Much. But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't really go super vibrant when it comes to my blush. Even if it is still like a softer nude shade, this probably is good enough for me personally. Like even when I applied this today, I ended up kind of blending a little bit of it in. So after looking at comparisons and swatches, I realized it is a really beautiful duo, but I just probably don't need it. I also have She's Blushing, and I saw a creator compare all 3 of them. Not Too Much, She's Blushing, and She's Seductive. Sorry, these names are like a tongue twister. And in the end, if I combine these 2 duos, whether I'm mixing the powders or the creams or layering like one cream over one powder, I feel like it will end up looking even closer to the new duo. I'm kind of excited to do that. That's a good way to kind of focus on using what you already have. And even though it is so tempting, I'm just going to save the $38 and skip over it. Another blush that I decided to skip over is this new one from Urban Decay. This was a little bit of an easier pass for me. The formula sounds great. It's called the Face Bond Long Lasting Powder Blush Suede. It retails for $24 and there are 7 shades. It kind of sounds similar in name, but also in description to the Fenty, what's the name? I always forget it. The Fenty Cheek Suede Waterproof Powder Blush, which I absolutely love. That actually made my favorite products of 2024 video. So because the descriptions are pretty similar, I almost think I would love the Urban Decay formula. They describe it as a long-wearing, waterproof blush. It has a soft suede feel. It's supposed to give you a blurred matte finish. The reason why I'm not going to buy this is because I just don't think there's a shade that I would absolutely love on me. And that was kind of the case with the Fenty blush. I picked up one shade and I loved that shade so much that from like time to time I would go back on Sephora's website and like look through the shades trying to decide which one to try next. And I feel like this is something I've noticed about myself over the past year, especially when it comes to blush, sometimes when it comes to lip products. When I discover a formula I love, I immediately go online, whether it's like Ulta or Sephora, and I try to choose another shade to try because I love the way it looks on the skin. But sometimes there isn't really another shade I know I would get a ton of use out of. And that's definitely the case when it comes to the Urban Decay blushes. They're all very bright, very vibrant, and the colors are gorgeous. I kind of like that they're doing something a little bit different. Like you're not seeing a ton of super subtle blushes, even though that's my preference. I know people love super bright, super colorful blush. So I do think this launch could be a hit, but for me personally, even though the formula sounds great, I don't think there's a shade in there that I would get enough use out of to justify adding it to my collection. This is one that I thought I might be interested in picking up, but there's something after watching swatches and like the actual application videos, I decided to skip over it. So Natasha Denona is launching the High Blush Cloudy Cream Cheek Duos. These look really, really beautiful. The initial Instagram post I saw, I don't know if it was like a picture or a reel, definitely pulled me in. And I was like, that looks like it's going to be a really lightweight, very creamy, super comfortable formula. And I do think that's the case. I was watching a YouTube video that Natasha Denona's channel uploaded where they were applying the product to a model and then they were doing swatches, so you could really see the true colors. So anyway, they do describe it as an ultra lightweight gel, and it is supposed to melt seamlessly into the skin. And like I said, there's a blush and a highlighter in each duo. There's 6 different shades and they retail for $42, which is pricey. I will say, you know, when it comes to high-end cheek products, I'm much more likely to buy a duo because I rarely finish up an entire blush or an entire highlighter. So I feel like that's why I've been able to justify the Patrick Ta blush duos a little bit more easily than just like a single blush that's $30. Definitely expensive, which always makes me hesitate a little bit more. But I feel like if I thought I would wear one of these duos enough, I probably still would end up buying it and trying it out. But there's just not a duo I love. It's pretty similar to what I was saying with the Urban Decay blushes. Most of these duos are very pink and like very bright pink. I feel like it would have been fun to see some different color families like red or purple, even though those aren't shades that I personally would go for. I feel like there could have been a little bit more variation, some nudes, some bronzy tones, and I'm sure she'll end up adding more eventually. In the end, it's not something that I absolutely need. I have a ton of cream blushes, not a lot of cream highlighters, but I have some liquid highlighters that will end up giving a similar effect. I'll wait for other people to review these, and if they get rave reviews and she ends up launching more duos down the line, I might end up grabbing one then. But for now, it's a pass for me. One more product from Urban Decay. I'm kind of curious to see what Urban Decay has in store for 2025. I feel like in 2024, they moved away from the naked, no, they didn't. I was going to say they moved away from the Naked line, but they ended up relaunching the original Naked palette. But other than that, I feel like they've kind of moved away from that a little bit. They're leaning more heavily into like the Moondust eyeshadows, which a lot of people do love, but we've also seen some different products from them, like the Face Bond foundation, and it looks like some of their new launches are kind of based on that line too. But I'm curious to see what they have in store. So anyway, there is another addition to the Face Bond line. This is the Luminizer Waterproof Glow Drop, and it's meant to be used on the face or the body. It retails for $34, and there are 8 different shades. So it's supposed to be a waterproof liquid highlighter or bronzer, depending on which one you choose, and you can use it on the face, on the eyes, on the body. They have some different application, or they have some different examples. They have some different examples on Sephora's website. This actually sounds like it could be a really great product. I do love the Face Bond foundation, and I really like the packaging because you can get the perfect amount of product out. So it's really easy. It's really easy not to waste product. That could be really nice for a liquid luminizer because you do have more control. But I have a lot of glowy base products at this point, like things I can use on the face, the cheeks, the eyes, things that I can use to mix in with other products I own or wear alone. So for me, I'm like, do I really need another liquid highlighter, another liquid illuminizer? I don't really even have that many, but I guess for me, it's not the type of product where I feel like I have to try multiple formulas and keep buying them and keep adding them to my collection. I don't know. The pictures do kind of look like it might give an over the top metallic glow. So chances are you maybe only need a tiny bit of this. If you do want a super intense glow, this could be a good option. And I do like that they have 8 different shades. But for me, I'm just kind of more so into a subtle glow. So like the e.l.f. Halo Glow Filter will cut it for me. And honestly, I haven't really been wearing that a ton. So I feel like I need to break that back out and really incorporate that into my routine. I have been loving the Say Glowy Super Gel, which is such a pretty base. As for cheek highlighter, I really do like the Rare Beauty Liquid Highlighter and then also the Flower Beauty Liquid Highlighter. So those are the products that I'll be using in place of this. And I feel like it could be fun to kind of incorporate them, mix them with some other products I already own and get more use out of them that way. So Rare Beauty is actually launching a liquid contour. It might actually be up by the time this video goes live. I feel like we knew this was coming for a long time. 2024 was kind of the year of like liquid bronzers and liquid contours. So I'm surprised we didn't see it earlier in 2024, but it is here now. I'm sure this is very highly anticipated from people who love the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. On Instagram, they're basically describing it like their soft pinch liquid blush formula, but in contour format. So I do think it will be popular just based on the success of the liquid blushes. I know I've told you this a lot. And again, I did reference it in my video where I talked about makeup I'm not going to buy. I really don't want to buy not liquid highlighters, liquid blushes. No, not liquid blushes, liquid bronzers or liquid contours in 2025. I don't typically love them on me. I'd rather go for a cream like 99% of the time. So it's just not something I need to keep purchasing. At first I was like, it's the brand, it's the formula, it's patchy, it's uneven. And in the end, I'm like, is it really the brand or is it just me? Like, I don't like this type of product. The one product that I do like is the e.l.f. Liquid Bronzer Liquid Contour. I've actually been mixing 2 shades together and using that a lot more in 2025 than I really ever did in 2024. And we're only like, what, 22 days into the month. So I'm glad that I'm actually using that formula because I purchased it, I own it, but I just don't like that type of product enough to run out and buy more. So I don't plan on picking this one up. Although I will say I probably love it, to be honest. The Rare Beauty Liquid Blush is something I skipped over initially. It took me a long time to try that. Even though it was like everywhere, people loved it so much, I had convinced myself, like, I don't like liquid blushes. They're not for me. I finally gave in and tried it, and it just convinced me that I can wear liquid blush. It just has to be like the right formula. The Rare Beauty formula is so beautiful, really easy to work with, and I'm sure it will be the same case for the contour, but because the e.l.f. liquid blush is so similar to the Rare Beauty liquid blush, I assume the e.l.f. liquid contour is going to be similar to the Rare Beauty liquid contour. Maybe not, because Rare Beauty hasn't even launched their formula yet, so it's not like e.l.f. based their liquid contour on Rare Beauty's liquid contour. But if the liquid contour from Rare Beauty is the same as the liquid blush, wouldn't you assume the e.l.f. liquid contour is going to be very similar too? At least that's what's going on in my mind. So since I already have what I assume to be is like a close dupe, I'm just going to skip over the Rare Beauty one right now. I just don't need it. It does retail for, where'd it go, $28, and it comes in 7 different shades. So again, I'm sure it will get some hype, a lot of good reviews, but I know that I just don't need it in my collection. Tell me why I was scrolling through Sephora's website the other day, just checking out some of the new launches, and I mindlessly added this to my cart. I don't really even know why. I'm not a big high-end mascara type of person. There are formulas I really like, and my all-time favorite mascara ever is from Tower 28, which is a higher-end brand. But most of the time, like when I'm buying a new mascara, it's usually from the drugstore, with the exception of the Tower 28 one. So I don't know why. It's not like I try every single new high-end mascara launch, but for whatever reason, this one pulled me in. It's from House Labs. It's called the Be Structural Volumizing and Lengthening Mascara. It's $29, which is pretty expensive. I mean, I guess that's on par with other high-end mascaras, but it is $10 more than the one that I buy from Sephora, which I do kind of consider to be expensive because my other favorites are like between $5 and $9. Anyway, I ended up taking it out of my cart because I was like, do I really need to buy this? It sounds fine, but it doesn't sound like there's anything super spectacular about it. So I just decided to skip over it at this point and kind of use open mascaras I already own. I did just finish up 2 of the Tower 28 mascaras, and I don't have a backup because I'm trying not to do that in 2025. So I figured if I end up buying a new mascara from Sephora, it should be that one. One I know I love, and I'll end up saving $10 by picking that one up instead. I mean, it is my job to test out and review new makeup, so the people watching my videos can decide whether or not they want to spend or you want to spend your money on the products. That is literally my job. And I know a lot of beauty YouTubers have kind of switched. They're not either doing a lot of makeup content or they're not doing a lot of product reviews anymore. And I like watching all different types of content, but I still do love testing out makeup and reviewing it. Something I told myself in 2025 is that I do not need to review every single new launch. And it's not like I really did in the past, but sometimes as a YouTuber or maybe like someone on Instagram or TikTok, you do kind of feel like you need to pick everything up and know about all of the new launches. But in the end, like even if I liked that mascara, am I really going to be likely to recommend it to you over and over as someone who typically does prefer more affordable alternatives like drugstore mascaras, like Elf or Essence or Milani? Probably not. So it's not to say I won't review high-end makeup in 2025. I definitely will, but it has to be something that I also think that I myself would want to try and review and test out, and not just something that I'm like mindlessly adding to my cart. So I decided to skip over that one for now. And I will say, out of curiosity, I was reading through reviews on Sephora's website, and a lot of people said it smudges and flakes on them. So I'm kind of glad I skipped over it for that reason too. Huda Beauty's marketing has actually been so good over the last few months. Like I tend to see Huda Beauty products everywhere, and I see them in a way that has me intrigued about them. Like I want to know what the new launch is. I'm really curious to try it out. And I like that she's been doing like a whole no filter campaign, or that was more so for her foundation and primer. But I just feel like you can actually see the products on the skin whenever I see, marketing for the brand. So anyway, I just feel like they've also been coming out with some really good products. I loved the Easy Blur foundation, the Easy Blur primer. The Icy Nude palette was like my favorite palette launch of 2024. So anyway, there is a new line from the brand that did catch my eye, the Ube collection. So there's an Easy Bake powder, a blush filter, and a faux filler gloss. Listen, I love, well, this is like more so purpley, but I love the pink under eye trend on other people. I don't love it on me. Whenever someone does like a really bright pink under eyes, whether they're using like a powder or a blush or whatever the case, it looks amazing on them. And then I go in with a pink powder and I look sick. So I've kind of skipped out on like the pink under eye trend, although I know it's not quite as popular as it used to be, but if it looks good on you, you should definitely keep going with it because it is such a beautiful trend. And I think I read this new collection, which leans more purpley, was kind of created for medium to tan skin tones in mind, but they said anyone could use it. You could either, apply a heavier amount, go in with a lighter amount, and it is a beautiful collection. And most of the time when I see pictures of people wearing this, I'm like, I want to try that. It is so, so beautiful. But I just don't think like any sort of like colorful under eye is for me. It's probably because I'm just not a big fan of like super intense blush either. And I know like these colors can be used in color correcting ways, or they can be used to kind of like brighten up the skin. They don't have to be like packed on there so it looks like you have like really intense purple under eyes. But I don't know. I feel like I'd rather just stick with like my regular go-to setting powders that are pretty similar to my skin tone, even though it's beautiful. And like so many times I'm like, should I just pick it up? I know I love her powders so, so much. I think it's a trend and just like a product or a collection I need to admire from afar and appreciate that it looks really beautiful on other people, and maybe just not spend my money on it because I just don't think I would end up using it very often. So Huda Beauty also did new Kayali body sprays. I love the Kayali fragrances. I mean, there are some that haven't worked for me, but right now I'm really back into the pistachio one. I like the newer marshmallow one. Probably like one of my all-time favorites is Juicy Apple, and Love Fest Burning Cherry just kind of strikes me as like a winter scent. I don't know about body sprays. I know a lot of people are really into them. Obviously, like the Sol de Janeiro body sprays are super popular, and you don't really have to choose. You can like perfume and like body spray, use them together, use them separately. But I almost feel like if I'm going to spend my money on the scent, I'd rather just get like the full-on perfume rather than the body spray. I don't know. What do you think about body sprays? Are you interested in trying these out? She didn't do one for every single fragrance. I think there were only 3. The thing about these is they're limited editions, so they're not even going to be around forever. They did vanilla 28. I do like that too. Pistachio and cherry. One thing that I thought was kind of cool is it's like a continuous spray, so you don't have to like constantly click the product to spray it all over your body. But I also feel like that might end up making someone run through it even faster because you don't realize how much you're spraying. So it looks like you get 4.2 fluid ounces for $45. That sounds expensive to me, but I don't really get into body sprays, so I don't know how that really like stacks up compared to other brands. The only body sprays I can think of are like the Bath and Body Works ones I used to use when I was in junior high, and those were obviously a lot less expensive and they lasted forever. I don't know if I ever used one up completely. So anyway, what's your opinion on body sprays? Do you like them more than perfumes? Do you find that you have a use for both in your routine? Let me know. Like, am I missing out by skipping over body sprays? Okay, let's talk about a drugstore launch. Most of the products in today's video are higher end products because I do end up buying a lot of drugstore products to review on my channel. And I love drugstore makeup, but there is one I decided to skip over from NYX. This is the Duck Plump Retractable Plumping Lip Liner. It retails for $10. There are 12 different shades and there are really gorgeous shades. And typically I do love NYX lip liners, but I tried the Duck Plump lip gloss last year and it was like one of the worst products I tried in 2024. The actual formula was great. It is very glossy, really rich and pigmented, really pretty, but it burned my lips. And not like the typical plumping burn. One of the main ingredients is actually like spicy ginger. So it's like this hot pepper feeling burn on your lips and your tongue. I don't mind a little bit of like a warm plumping sensation, but I don't want something that feels like my lips are burning off. So I don't know if it's actually that bad or I just had like some kind of weird reaction to it, but I also read comments from some of you saying it was like the worst, weirdest feeling sensation out of any lip product you've tried, like plumping lip product. So I don't know, plumping lip liners are becoming pretty trendy these days. I've tried a few formulas and for the most part, I don't really think they work to plump up your lips in the way that you would think. Some plumping lip glosses visibly make your lips look fuller, but I don't find that that's the case for lip liners for the most part. You might get like that tingly burning sensation, but your actual lips don't look fuller unless you're like overlining them, which you could do with any lip liner. Too Faced did the plumping lip injection lip liners and those were so good. They were so creamy, but they dried down and they did not move, but they also burned the lips and there was like no plumping involved. So I almost wish they just created them as part of like any other line and took out the plumping factor. And I kind of wish that was the case for NYX as well because there are some really, really pretty shades. They have like a ton of cooler toned options, some deeper nudes, and a lot of brands don't always do that. They'll do like bright pinks, bright reds, and berries, but they're missing like a lot of staple nudes for all different skin tones. So I love the colors and maybe you didn't mind the plumping sensation you got from the Duck Plump plumping glosses, but if those were not for you, you might want to skip over these two. There are just so many other lip liners out there that I don't feel like I actually need these in the end, but I didn't even want to try them out just because if I knew if they felt like the glosses, I would never wear them again. Okay, last thing. So I actually haven't tried anything from Lisa Eldridge. And to be honest, I wasn't even familiar with her YouTube channel until very, very recently, which is just absolutely insane because she has over 2 million subscribers. But that's the crazy part about YouTube. It is such a big space. You feel like you kind of know all of the creators out there, or at least like the really big creators, people who have multi-millions of subscribers. But for some reason, I've never been subscribed to her channel. And that wasn't really a conscious choice because as I've recently discovered her and I've been watching through her videos, she is amazingly talented, has tons of good tips. So I've actually really been enjoying her channel. Anyway, she also has a makeup line, which I guess is more so like a luxury makeup line. And because I wasn't really familiar with her, I mean, I've heard of her line, I don't know, whatever the reason, I've just been kind of out of the loop with her brand and her channel. So I've been seeing a lot about this kind of pop up in my subscription feed because a lot of people are reviewing it, people who I follow, and I watched her video on it and it sounds like a really interesting product. It is the Pinpoint Concealer Micro Correcting Pen, or micro correcting pencil. So apparently Lisa Eldridge is really well known for her method of pinpoint concealing. And I watched her video on this and it was really interesting. And it's definitely a technique that I'm curious to try in my own makeup routine because I've definitely come to embrace like lighter coverage, lighter, more natural makeup. But sometimes if I go in with a skin tint or just like a little bit of a product, I still have areas on my face that need a little extra coverage. So pinpoint concealing could actually be really ideal, or just to do it on its own. So her latest product, like I said, is a concealer pencil. It kind of comes in the same packaging as like a lip liner or an eyeliner. It retails for $34 and a lot of people are talking about the price because for the amount of product you get in there, it actually breaks down to be very, very expensive. I was reading through the comments in her video where she announced this because I was like, let's just see what it's all about. And she did demo it and the results were pretty incredible. She did like unretouched photos and it looks amazing. It's definitely an interesting product. As I was reading through the comments, a lot of people said there are other brands who do something similar, like K-beauty brands. I've never tried anything. I know NYX used to have a concealer pencil, which again, I don't think that I personally tried in the past, but this formula does sound nice because it covers very well, but it also sounds like it dries down and it doesn't move. Anyway, all of that to say, I don't plan on picking up this product for now. I really think I'd probably like it, to be honest with you, but I don't know if I can justify $34 on a concealer pencil. She was saying in the comments of her videos that it does last a really long time because obviously you're not using this like on your entire face fully, like you might a liquid concealer or even like really heavily under the eyes. It's just for like very small, you know, it's for like a little bit of redness, a breakout, hyperpigmentation. So you're just kind of scribbling like a small amount on the skin and then tapping it in with your finger. So definitely an interesting product for sure. She did reference her original pinpoint concealing video that she filmed, I think like years and years ago when she first started her channel. So I think I will go back and watch that, but I'm curious to know what she used in that video. If she didn't have this product that she created, it must have just been what I'm assuming was like a really small brush and a concealer that stayed in place, maybe like a cream or pot concealer. Anyway, those are all of the new makeup launches I refuse to buy. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I will be back very soon. I think my next video is going to be like a roundup on all of the new drugstore launches I've been testing out. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.